Today I'm going to be making some lobia, which is these beans. They are also known as cowpeas or black-eyed peas, and they're really rich in a lot of fiber. And I'm going to cook them up very quickly in an Instapot with some onions, tomatoes, some nice Indian spices, and my green chili pickle. So these have been soaked overnight. So I took 2 cups of the cowpeas and added them in a glass bowl covered it with water and left it overnight. You can add a bit of salt if you want, and they'll cook a lot faster if you soak them overnight. And you can see they're really rich in fiber. They have this covering that adds a lot of fiber, and they also break easily now. So you can see they'll cook much faster. So do that if possible. Soak them the night before, and the next day they're easy to quickly, you can cook them. I'm going to use 1 big red onion for cooking to add to my cowpeas, and this is kind of just my way of how I chop it. Take off the first outer layer, because that's where all the pesticides are. Just remove these old sort of the sprouting thing. And I like to compost everything. So I have my handy little compost box where I throw all my vegetable peels and fruit peels and everything. And once it's full, I will just put it into my compost bin. So just a little heads up. And once I've peeled the onion, I'm going to wash it, and then I'm going to chop it into little pieces. I'm going to chop my onions, and this is just my way of doing it. And you can do finely chopped, or you can do more thicker chopping, whichever type you like. I'm going to do sort of more fine, and there you go, about that much thickness. And this is totally depending on how you like the taste of onions in your food. I like to feel, a few of the pieces come into my mouth. So I'm going to cook my lobia, or the black-eyed cowpeas that I just shown you. I'm going to cook them in my Instant Pot. This is a 5-quart. I love it. It's got all these amazing functions. But what we're going to do first is saute the onions with some spices, and then we're going to add the tomatoes and the cowpeas. So for the saute, you can see the saute function here. Just going to turn that on. I've got the saute function on. Now I'm going to add, I have homemade ghee or clarified butter. You can buy it from any Indian store as well. And I'll put some links below for where you can get the different ghee. So I'm going to just take a couple of that much, like maybe a tablespoon. You can add more or less depending on how much fat you want. And I'm going to add that to my Instapot and let it melt. You can see the ghee has melted nicely. So now you're going to add some of your spices. I'm going to add a teaspoon of cumin in everything. It gives an amazing flavor. Pinch of ajwain, and I'm going to add some kalonji, which is onion seeds. They're supposed to be very healthy. And maybe a little bit of cumin powder. Okay. Quickly add your onions because the saute function gets pretty hot, and just stir it in with the spices that you added, and let it saute until the onions, probably just for 2-3 minutes, soften and become very light golden brown. Until then, we will chop the tomato. So you can see the onions are nicely golden. Now I'm going to add tomatoes. So I ended up chopping, just roughly chopped in chunky pieces, 2 big tomatoes. I'm going to add these. Now you can add less tomatoes, you can add more tomatoes depending on your taste liking. So I added 2. I like a lot more tomatoes. They taste really good. They kind of add a nice tang. And once I've added the tomatoes, I'm also going to add my green chili pickle, homemade. Let this tomato saute just for like 2 minutes. And also, while they're sauteing, I'm going to add my spices. So, you can see my spices here. I'm going to add a nice big healthy spoon of turmeric powder, a healthy spoon of chili powder. You can add less or more depending on how much, your taste on chilies. And some garam masala, again about 1 teaspoon each. And that's it. Pretty easy. So let this saute for, in this Instapot setting, I'd say probably 5 minutes. Just let it nicely saute a bit so the tomatoes soften. And then we will add the lobia, or the cowpeas, or the black-eyed beans. So while the tomatoes are sauteing with the onions in the Instapot, chop up some cilantro. I like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to add it. You could add any other nice green herb that you like. A little bit of thyme or dill, whichever you like. We'll add a nice little green flavor to it. I've chopped up some cilantro, and I'm also going to just squeeze in a little bit of a lemon just for a little bit of a tart. So the tomatoes are sauteing away really nicely, you can see. So I think we're ready now to add the beans. So add the cilantro that I chopped, so let's add that. And then here are the beans, which I will also add to the pot. Now just make sure you don't fill it more than the fill line, which is marked here. You can't add anything more than that. So just add the right amount, stir, and then we're ready to cook. Just don't go over the max line, which is, if you have a bigger Instapot, obviously you can cook a larger amount. And I'm just going to squeeze in the lemon. It'll give it a nice tart flavor. And of course, don't forget to add salt. I like using pink Himalayan salt, so I'm going to add probably a teaspoon and a half. Now we are ready to cook these beans. On the lid, make sure it fits and closes well. There you go, you hear the click. The next thing you want to make sure is this is going to cook under pressure. So you want to make sure this valve, there's one side, you move it and it's venting, and then there's one that's seal. You want to put it on seal so it will hold all the pressure inside the pot, and that's how the cooking will happen really fast. So make sure you've got that on the seal. Now that we've clicked the lid in place, it's closed, shut tight, we need to put it on the pressure cooker setting. So what we're going to do is down here, you can see the pressure cook is here on your Instant Pot. I'm going to press that and it says on, and then you can put how much time you want. So usually I'd say for this, they'll cook pretty fast. I would say 5 minutes is good because pressure cooker is cooking under pressure. So food cooks really very fast. So 5 minutes should be good. And that's it, leave it be. And now you can see that steady stream of steam being released, and it's making that little sound. So I've let a Instapot just sit for about 30 minutes. Honestly, it's probably fine after 15 to open it. It's gonna vent it, so I'm just gonna move that knob to vent. And you can see it easily moves across with no hissing sound. So move it to vent. And that means it is safe to open. We're going to open the Instapot. So you're going to turn it this way, which is the open direction. And the lid comes off nicely. Our cowpea soup is ready. I'm just going to dish some. Now, one thing I'll mention is you can throw in anything else you want. If you want to add some vegetables or some spinach, frozen spinach, some chopped zucchini, or scallions, you can add any vegetables you like just to add more sort of nutrition. This time I did not do that, but you could totally do that, and you could make a delicious, healthy soup / stew. Vegetarian, chock full of protein, and lots of fiber and lots of vitamins and minerals. Super, super healthy and delicious. You can enjoy that with some boiled rice or some nice sourdough bread that's been toasted with butter, or just have it on its own.